The Madman from Kheresa. Although most of the eastern shore of the lake in that area slopes gradually up to the higher land beyond, at this particular spot, there was a steep cliff that rose straight up from the lake. Jesus pointed to this slope and said, "Let's climb that hill and have our breakfast on top." This entire slope was scattered with caves carved into the rock. Many of these niches were old graves. About halfway up the slope, on a small plateau, was the burial ground of the small village of Kheresa. As Jesus and his companions passed by this burial ground, a madman suddenly rushed at them. This man, driven by madness, lived on this hillside. This insane person was well known in the area. In his rages, he had caused much damage, leading the villagers to once chain him with shackles in one of the caves. However, he had managed to break the chains and now roamed freely among the graves. This man, whose name was Amos, suffered from a form of periodic insanity. There were fairly long periods when he would find some clothes and move about reasonably well among people. During one of these lucid intervals, he had once encountered the gospel of the kingdom, which made him aware of who Jesus was. But this had been several weeks ago, and in the meantime, he had relapsed and fled back to the desolate graves, where he wailed and emitted frightening cries, terrifying any passers-by. When he ran screaming at the group of apostles, they backed away in fear. However, one man remained calm and even approached him. When Amos saw that one man in the group was not afraid of him, he quickly realized that this was Jesus he had heard about. Confused, he fell at his feet and cried out, "I know you, Jesus, but I am possessed by many devils, and I beg you not to torment me." This man genuinely believed that his periodic mental illness was caused by evil spirits gaining access to his consciousness and controlling his body. In reality, his troubles were mainly emotional. He suffered from psychotic attacks, but his brain was not severely damaged. Jesus looked down at the man crawling at his feet like an animal, bent over him, took his hand, made him stand up, and said to him, "Amos, you are not possessed by a devil. You have already heard the good news that you too are meant to be a son of God. I command you to come out of this seizure." When Amos hears his name, a transformation occurred in his mind, and he immediately regained his senses and normal control over his emotions. Up in the hills were pig herders. At dawn, they had seen the 4 fishing boats and a group of people climbing the steep hill. They had hurried in that direction out of curiosity, because they wanted to witness how their village madman would frighten this group. In their excitement not to miss this, they had left their pigs unattended. From a safe distance, they were amazed to witness how the madman calmed down and seemed to regain his full senses. Then disaster struck. Wild dogs now attacked the herd of unattended pigs. Panic broke out in the herd, and more than 25 pigs fell over the steep cliff into the lake. The cries of these animals in distress was awful, and could be heard far and wide. And so the legend arose that Jesus had healed Amos by driving out a legion of devils from him, and that these devils had entered the herd of pigs, causing them to plunge headlong into the lake and drown. Before the day was over, this incident was told everywhere by the pig herders, and the whole village believed it. Even Amos himself believed the story. He had seen the pigs fall over the cliff and heard their terrifying screams. This was enough proof for him to believe that his old tormentors had entered these pigs. And this had a positive effect on his healing, for believing that the tormentors had drowned with the pigs, he never again suffered a psychotic attack. All of Jesus' apostles, except Thomas, also believed that the incident with the pigs was directly related to Amos's healing. Jesus did not get the rest he had sought. Most of the day, people crowded around him, having heard that Amos was healed and drawn by the story that demons from the madman had entered the herd of pigs. And so it happened that after just one night of rest, Jesus and his friends were awakened early Tuesday morning by a delegation of these non-Jewish pig farmers, who urgently requested him to leave their midst. Their spokesman said to Peter and Andrew, fishermen from Galilee, "Depart from here and take your prophet with you. We know he is a holy man, but the gods of our land do not know him, and we risk losing our pigs. The fear of you has seized us, and therefore we beg you to leave." When Jesus heard them say this, he said to Andrew, "Let us return to Bethsaida." As they were about to leave, Amos begged Jesus to allow him to travel with them so that he could also become a disciple. But Jesus did not agree. He said to Amos, "Never forget that you are a son of God. Return to your own people and show them what great things God has done for you." And Amos went around and told everywhere that Jesus had driven a legion of devils out of his tormented soul, and that these evil spirits had entered a herd of pigs, which then drowned. And he did not stop until he had gone to all the cities of the Decapolis, proclaiming what great things Jesus had done for him.